We turn now to the war in Ukraine. Today, the capital rocked by blasts from Russian missiles. It is the first time in weeks Russia has attacked the city of Kyiv, this time striking a rail car repair facility. Russian troops claim they also destroyed a weapons depot, but Ukraine disputes that. Here's a look at the cities that are in the middle of the fierce fighting right now. One of those regions got a surprise visit from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky earlier today. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin is turning his threats to the West. Philip Crowther is in Lviv tonight with more details.
Well, it's the first time that the inhabitants of Kyiv have seen missiles hit their city in 5 weeks. They have been used to air alarm sirens, but not to looking out the window at 5 in the morning and seeing black plumes of smoke from Russian missile strikes. As to what exactly happened in Kyiv and what kind of targets were hit, well, there is a lack of clarity, as there so often is in war, of course, because you have wildly differing views of what happened on the Russian and on the Ukrainian side. Russia says that military supplies, Western military supplies, were hit, specifically T-72 tanks that had been donated to Ukraine from an Eastern European country. That's what Russia says, that those tanks were destroyed in eastern Kyiv. Now, Ukraine says that Moscow is lying, that none of that happened, that in fact a train repair shop was hit, where according to the head of the state railway company, there was no military equipment at all. Now, this comes as there is that expectation here in Ukraine that there will be further Western arms supplies coming very soon indeed, possibly on a daily basis, to that eastern Donbass region where the fiercest fighting is happening right now. And that, of course, includes that promise from the United States of those advanced weapon systems that the United States believes, but also Ukraine believes, could make a significant difference on the front line. Now, those weapons will take a while to get to the front line. The last we heard a few days ago was that the Pentagon said it could be all of 3 weeks. They have to get into the country, first of all, get to the front line in the Donbass region, and those who will be using them, the Ukrainian soldiers, will also have to be trained on how to do this. Now, we heard today from the Russian President Vladimir Putin from an interview he gave on the 3rd of June, so a few days ago, but he did react there to the possibility of US weapons coming to the front line. And he said vaguely, cryptically, that there would be danger there, that some sites that have not been hit so far by the Russian military could be in the crosshairs in the future. It's not clear, but it is a very serious threat. As on the front lines of this country, the fighting continues very fiercely in the eastern Donbass region, but also in other areas. There has been shelling of Kharkiv, that's the second largest city in Ukraine, and there have also, as there are almost daily, attacks, shelling from Russia of Ukrainian positions in the south as well. That includes, by the way, the province of Zaporizhia in the south, a large part of which has been occupied by Russia. And that is where we saw the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky a few hours ago. He visited the front line in Zaporizhia. This is only the second time that he visits a Ukrainian front line in the war against Russia outside of the capital city, Kyiv. Rudabeh?
Philip Crowther in Ukraine for us. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.